There are fields all over the state of Maine just like this one, and they're so beautiful. But are they becoming a problem?
So this lupin showed up in the state in larger proportions around 1950. So its common name can be blue lupin, big leaf lupin, or western lupin, so that gives you an idea of where it came from. The story of Miss Rumphius that a lot of us grew up reading as children. There actually was a person in kind of mid-coast Maine that would spread lupin seeds. She really loved this plant.
That's cool.
And that's kind of where it started spreading along roadsides. And you saw it spread really quickly. And then people kind of got on board with that, started planting it in their gardens, and we've seen that spread quite a lot.
Is that a problem that it's spreading so much and it's non-native to Maine?
So it could be. In some cases, yes. It's shown to somewhat outcompete some of our native species, things like common milkweed, and outcompete some of our important native plants for pollinators and things like the monarch butterfly that requires the milkweed and is now endangered.
How would you maintain something like this and keep it kind of contained?
Yeah, it's not easy. So we're on land trust property, so we have to be really careful. We don't use any chemicals. So our management plan for this field is really to mow after it blooms so that the plant can't go to seed and can't continue to spread as well, and allow some of our later season plants like goldenrods be able to still grow up.
Oh, cool.
And they provide a huge benefit to our native pollinators.
This is all non-native, but you do know of some native Maine lupin.
I do. So we do have a native lupin. It's considered extirpated from the state or locally extinct. But I do have a homeowner across town that has a really beautiful example of some of our lost sand barren and savanna plain habitat. And they have some really beautiful sundial lupin growing there. So right off the bat, you can see a lot of differences in this plant. It's much shorter. Its racemes or flower stalks are much smaller and much lighter blue, generally speaking. It can have some variation. And then in a large contrast to the lupin we saw previously, the big leafed lupin, their leaves are a lot smaller. And if you count the leaflets, there tends to be much fewer.
Why is the native lupin going extinct here in our state?
Yeah, so the big reason comes down to habitat loss and habitat loss through fire suppression. So a lot of our natural habitats used to have fires that came through.
Forest fires, brush fires.
Exactly. And that's what maintained kind of the blueberry barrens, the sand plains, and kept this kind of really well-drained, dry, gravelly soil that these sort of plants require. And when you lose that sort of management, you lose all the plants that need it.
Okay. And then consequently, there's a biodiverse effect here, right?
Exactly. With that, you lose all of the insects that rely on these plants. So the Karner blue butterfly is an endangered species of butterfly that the caterpillar can only feed on the leaves of this lupin species, and it cannot feed on any others.
If you wanted to grow this in your garden at home, what are the secrets?
Yeah, so Wild Seed Project does have these seeds available on our seed sale. If they're out of stock, you can sign up for a notification for when they're back in stock, and I have them available. Otherwise, it's really important to just find reputable growers, places like the Native Plant Trust, places that specialize in native plants that are able to give non-hybrids and true species of this.
Well, a lot of us do get our lupin from garden centers and from nurseries, so that's where our next stop is going to be. It's going to be at Estabrooks with Tom Estabrook.
Certainly lupin you can get at any of your local garden centers. You know, here we have a multitude of colors. You know,
this one's pretty.
They come in whites, pinks, yellows, blues, you know, bicolors. A tremendous amount of breeding has gone into a lot of these. These are more for your, you know, interior garden. You know, there are wild lupins also, you know, but more often than not we kill them with kindness.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, we treat them really well, we enrich the soil, we make them happy. Lupin are a nitrogen fixing plant, so they add nitrogen to the soil, so we don't need to add a lot to them. Just a little bit of compost, you know, to make sure that we have enough nutrients to get them established the first year, you know, keep them moist all summer. You know, lupin will go dormant. So, you know, it's important to plant some annuals around them.
Because you're going to water those all summer.
Exactly. You're going to keep watering. So if this plant here, you know, decides to go dormant, you have the other annuals to keep the soil moist so that the plant's going to be healthy and come up next year.
Got it. What about the seeds?
Yeah, so, great pollinator plant, it's going to have great big seed pods. The nice part about that is they need to have a stratification. I know, big word, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So stratification basically means it needs to freeze.
Oh, okay.
So either you spread them in the summer, fall, and then Mother Nature freezes them, or you can bring them inside, you can put them in your freezer, you can stratify them, that cracks the seed coat, and then you can germinate them the following spring.
So there you have it, everything you wanted to know about lupin. Now go find yourself one of these fields and enjoy. We'll see you next time on Gardening with Gutner.